What's up, everybody? Sammy33 returning for another video. This one is one that was definitely going to happen at some point. I wanted to wait because I wanted to give myself an opportunity to. I wanted to give myself an opportunity to kind of let my thoughts sit. I felt I have had conflicting thoughts on WrestleMania leading up to the decision. I've had conflicting thoughts on some of the things that have happened after some of the fallout from it too. So I just want to kind of talk. So for those that didn't know, before I switch the scenes here, then we'll get to talking. So I can give you guys my opinion and my viewpoint. WrestleMania potentially was going to get canceled. No, it was April 5th in Tampa. So no one made the decision. I feel like it was going to come to the governor to eventually shut it down. So you have, hey, we're going to limit it to 50. We need to start to exhibit social distancing. Then it was 25, I believe, then 10. So clearly, being in the stadium wasn't going to happen. So the question is, what happens next? They decide not to cancel it. They decide to do it at the Performance Center, as we've seen recently with SmackDown and Raw. That's something that they have been able to do. So no audience. Also, with the restriction, I'm assuming with the restrictions of 10, they have also did decided, I should say, to do it over a 2-day period instead of the normal Sunday. You know, it's too big to contain to one day, which we all know is fully not true because I can tell you I've been to 3 WrestleManias now, and the last one being the biggest one. Yeah, WrestleMania truly can be done in one day, no matter how many matches you put in it. Trust me. So let's talk. I'm gonna give you 2 standpoints here. I'm going to give you my standpoint as a wrestler, as a performer, so to speak, and then I'm going to give you the fan perspective. So, there are thoughts that I wanted people to consider, and I'm just going to throw them out there. And I know everyone is not going to agree with me, but these are just things I want people to think about when it comes to wrestling. So, first things first, this is a weekly episodic show. And this is a really weird situation because it's not something like this hasn't happened before. 9/11, canceling a show. Okay. But we're not talking about canceling a show. We're talking about if we cancel WrestleMania, what does this mean? Do we just cancel wrestling, period? And then wrestling is going to just wait until it's allowed to come back, and then we just pick up where we left off. And what I'm really getting to is talking about storylines. So there's kind of a couple things they can do. They can say, hey, we're just going to stop altogether, and when we're allowed, because we still don't know what date that is, for things to return to normal, we'll go back and then we need to figure things out. What happens with Tampa? Do they still get it? Do you have to book it somewhere else? I don't know what bookings are at Raymond James Stadium in the future. This also affects other people because they bought tickets. They got that time off. They reserved hotels during that time. It causes a lot of chaos. It's going to hurt Tampa's economy definitely because I think when I read it, it was like 155 to 165 million dollars Tampa would have earned from that weekend from WrestleMania. Um, that's a lot of money. That really, really sucks. But how? There's a lot of questions. What do you do with Tampa? Because I feel like the people that know their local economy, the people that bought tickets and all that stuff to go there, like what happens with that? So that's one thing to consider in terms of Tampa. But when we talk about the storyline, what do you do? Do you stop? So we're still going to have weekly shows, but not WrestleMania. So do we just ignore the feuds? Do we start different feuds with other people? Can you really put that stuff on pause when you don't have a date that is definitive on when everything is going to go back to normal? Um, I don't know what, I honestly don't know what was the best course of action because it could be 8 months, it could be over a year. I doubt. It could be 2 months, it could be 4 weeks. I don't know. They don't know. No one knows. I think that's part of the problem when they have to sit down and make a decision because think about it. Like, they don't want to cancel this. They know this makes them a ton of money. They are not only, like, Tampa is not only losing money, the WWE is losing money. They're going to sell a crap ton of merchandise there. A crap ton of tickets there. The subscribers on the network, us, we don't buffer themselves enough for them to help mitigate some of that loss that they're going to get. Takeover. Hall of Fame got moved back to SummerSlam. But you have Takeover, WrestleMania Access, multiple of them. The gear that you sell there, the Superstore, Raw, SmackDown, Mania. They're losing a crap ton of money. A lot of money. They'll make the Hall of Fame back because people will still go to the Hall of Fame wherever it is. I assume they're going to have it in Boston with SummerSlam. But they're losing a lot of money from those other shows not being there. And they're still losing money because Raw and SmackDown is people can't attend. So they're losing money there too. They're losing sales because people aren't going to be buying as many shirts. I can tell you, I always have access to buy shirts online. But it's just different when you go to an event and you buy that t-shirt live. The programs, the other gear. I see kids, getting the Cena gear. Kids, we're getting, the Rey Mysterio mask, the Jeff Hardy when you have, I forget what you call them, but things on his forearm. People buy those. People eat those up. You don't have those now. You lose all those extra sales. So it's just tough. It's really tough. But the thing for me is that the first thing I thought of was storylines. Like, how can you put everything on pause? Since it seems we're going to be continuing having weekly shows, how do you put everything on pause and then get back to having that and being able to give it the attention and the emphasis in terms of payoff story wise that it deserves. Really tough. So that's one. So I'm going to go back to my notes here. The other thing is the booking venues. I kind of touched on that with Raymond James Stadium. I don't know what else is going on there, so it's hard to say, hey, we're going to come back to it later. But later could be during the football season. WrestleMania is on a Sunday. So do you go when the Bucks aren't playing? Do you have to do it in the middle of the week? But you have to factor in college football. USF, sorry, I was going to say UCF, USF, they play there too. USF, UCF, one of them. I can't remember. One of them plays at Raymond James. I think it's USF. So you have to factor that in too. Like, so then when can you do it? And then it affects everyone because of the travel and being able to get that time off now versus when you already had it planned for. Also, the other thing I wanted to bring in is with incoming international flights being shut down, there are people that bought their tickets from overseas and had all the reservations, everything, all that stuff is canceled. You just completely shut those guys out if you do something short notice because people come from all over the world to see WrestleMania. Now, limited to how many people can come within the United States. You hurt them too because, hey, those fans matter and their money matters too. There were still tickets, for those that did know, going on sale for Mania. So if you're going to say half the world isn't able to come, depending on what happens and when we get out of this, because we may say, hey, we within the country are able to go freely, but maybe we're still going to have restrictions on international flights. You cut off a chunk of fans. I don't know if you can fill up Raymond James Stadium. That's just being honest, Mania or not. So that's something else to consider too. Now, two other things that I really do want to talk about, and these are tough ones. One is the Tampa medical staff. So we talked about the coronavirus a little bit in stream. I try not to talk about it much because I know, one, it concerns people, but on the other hand, it's a very debatable and a hot topic. The medical staff. So I think Controller Zen was the one that posted in the Discord. If you are not a resident of Florida, that the Tampa hospital, I forget which one it had, but said if you're a visitor, you're not welcome. Since that, hey, We're trying to fight this off. We need to make sure we can take care of our own. There's going to be thousands of people coming in from outside of Florida and people coming from outside the country. So if somehow this was not able to be postponed and this show were to still go live, you have a bunch of people that are sitting there. Obviously, risk for exposure is higher than just what we're in now with this quarantine. But you have thousands of people there, and no one is going to be able to go to the hospital get sick because once you show your ID, like, oh wait, you're not from Florida, sorry, we can't accept you. Then what happens then? These people are going to be sick potentially, and I'm not even saying with the coronavirus, but they can't even be treated. And then we know with the coronavirus, symptoms don't necessarily show up quickly, so it's possible that other people can get sick and take it back to wherever they're going. So obviously that's a problem. That's kind of why we have the limit of how many people there. So then the other thing that I want to talk about is the fans. This is going to be the most awkward part of WrestleMania. This is kind of why it intrigues me a little bit more than it already did. Because I'm a wrestling fan. I'm going to watch anyway. We all know this. No fans. I can tell you as a performer, I, in the ring, need the audience there. It's totally different when I'm in the ring with my opponent and we're working on our match in practice with other people watching or not watching, trying to get everything perfect so that when the match does go live, we can give the fans, our fans, the best match that we can give them. But when you don't have the fans there, it's different. You can't tell if you're going too fast because you don't have a reaction. You can't tell if you're going too slow. You can't tell if you need to hit a big move and maybe need to abort because the audience is not feeling the match. Maybe they're too into it and you need to slow it down. You need to just play with their emotions a little bit, draw them in a little bit more. It's really hard to do that without having an audience. So there's a pro and a con to that. Obviously, the con is it's really, really awkward. But here's the pro, and I don't think a lot of people factor this in. When you wrestle live, things go good or bad. Things can happen. Um, Daniel Bryan with Gulak, getting the suplex goes bad. Um, that could have been from adrenaline or for whatever reason that happened where, he got dropped on his head. And obviously with Daniel Bryan, that's a very scary thing. The wardrobe malfunction with Daniel Bryan as well, too. I'm pretty sure the WWE Network has blocked that out by now. Just like last, 2019 Royal Rumble with Asuka and Becky Lynch. Yeah, that one too. So the pro to it is I'm not going to be the one to say it, but if I'm just going to say, if there's going to be a restriction to no more than 10 people, do you really think that everyone's just chilling there at the performance center, just waiting to do everything live? There's 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure if I had to make a guess, and I don't want to be that dude to put words in other people's mouths, but I would not be surprised. I'll just say this. I wouldn't be surprised if they went in and started recording matches and gave us that. If matches are being recorded, that means that you're having more time to be able to practice and make that match perfect. It should be the best wrestling that we're going to get. Should be. Because honestly, there's no reason for mistakes. If you make a mistake, then we can just, hey, like, take two. Seriously can't. I don't know if they choose to go that way, but that's an option, especially for certain spots or some matches. They may be shorter, so you may be able to do that. But it just makes me laugh the whole, hey, it's not big enough for 2 days. So 2 days is for a couple of reasons. One, probably because the max amount of people that are able to be there, that should be there, I should say, for health concerns. And two, you don't have to show everything on one day. There's no obligation to now. WrestleMania takes forever as it is. Like I said, I'm a wrestling fan, and even I say WrestleMania is way too long. Now you can divide it up over a couple of days, and you still give us good content, but it's spread out, so we're not overbooked, so to speak, with wrestling. And same thing with NXT Takeover. Just that can be spread out as well too. We don't have to have it all given to us at once. I mean, you're not going to have as much content. We've seen Raw and SmackDown. They've been filling in the gaps with other stuff in terms of Royal Rumble, was it one night on Raw, the Royal Rumble with this year's Royal Rumble match, and then the triple threat with Cena, Lesnar, and Rollins, because they've got plenty of content they can go back to and show us. But why not just spread out that content? You have other content, original content you can show too. Spread out Mania, make it more of a weekend thing. I don't think this happens in the future. This is just a one-time thing. It's a unique situation until we get it. And then the second thing, this will be short, and I just want to address this because I know it's been talked about in the stream. So this is coming from a performance perspective. We understand that I'm not speaking for everyone, but I'm just speaking from where I sit as a performer. I guess I'll say I, so I don't want to misspeak. I understand that people want entertainment. I really, really do. But with what's going on, also do realize that entertainers in the wrestling industry right now, AEW, WWE, though it's limited, obviously because of the restrictions that exist, are still out there putting themselves at risk. So, shows being canceled, shows being altered, I get it's not ideal. It's not ideal for them either. This is their job, this is their passion. They care too. They don't want this as much as you guys do. You know, they don't want this either. But they're doing the best given the situation that they have. It's still giving you entertainment. You're not getting it from the other sports. Just understand, respect to those that are out there, because they're still potentially putting themselves at risk versus those of us that are just staying at home and not doing it. So I don't like seeing the entertainment industry in terms of sports and, you know, music, those guys and ladies being bashed for being criticized because stuff has to be canceled or things have to be altered. I mean, they're human just like the rest of us, and you have to do what's best for you. Instead, you have to take care of yourself first. Something else that I've also definitely have pointed out on stream a bit is, hey, like from the employer perspective, you have to protect your employees because they're the ones that make you money. You have to protect them. That's your priority. That's your life source, so to speak. Um, Things will be back to normal. How long, I don't know. Use this time. There's start a business. You have time to do that now. Go look at old stuff, old sports, old wrestling. At WWE Network has thousands of hours of content. There's plenty of stuff that you have seen, stuff that you haven't seen. Plenty of stuff that you can learn. New wrestlers that you can find that you like that you never even knew about. There's a lot of time right now. Hone your craft and other things. Give your body a chance to relax. There's a lot of things that you can do right now with this time, and this is time that was unexpected. Obviously, the economic effect is a whole nother conversation, but when you have this extra time, try to use it to do something productive to help yourself out. That's all I'll say. And on that, we'll end it. Bottom line, how do I feel about WrestleMania? It's different. I'll still watch. I'm not bothered by it. I don't really. I wish I could have sat in the room and listened to Creative and Vince and Heyman and those guys come to the conclusion that they came to. But at the end of the day, they went with what they thought was best given their limitations. I can't fault them for it. I still think Mania will be a good show. It definitely will be different without the crowd for sure, because it feels like that payoff is just different. Not, if Drew were to win the title or Shayna wins the title, it's just not the same without having that crowd reaction. But hey, we'll still watch. I know we'll still criticize it because I still see it on Raw and SmackDown now on Twitter. We're still gonna analyze everything they do. So enjoy it the best you can. It'll be here before you know it. I'll come up with a video giving my predictions. They may be altered because of them not being live, but we'll see. Anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll be back with a hot tag video later.